What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video today. I want to talk about my thoughts about the 750 horsepower package versus the 550 horsepower package. NASCAR currently in the Cup Series runs two separate packages. They run the 750 horsepower packages, which they run on the short tracks, which are the tracks 0.5 to about a mile. They run them on the mile to about a 1.3 mile track, which is tracks like Dover, Nashville, and probably on Gateway next year as well. And they also run them on the road course as well, which we have 7 or 8 this year. Compared to the 550 horsepower package, which they run on the intermediate tracks, the mile and a half tracks like Michigan, which is 2 mile track, among other tracks like Atlanta and Las Vegas that run the mile and a half package as well. And of course, you have the Super Speedway package, which is its own entity as well. Now, the negative to both these are both restricted engines. The regular engine that NASCAR has is a 900 horsepower engine that they ran in 2014, but NASCAR decreased the horsepower down to 750 for all those tracks, and in 2019, they introduced the 550 horsepower package. So first, let's talk about the 550 horsepower package and what are my thoughts overall on that. First of all, I'm not overall the biggest fan of the 550 horsepower package. What I really don't like about the 550 horsepower package is that it's very, very hard to pass, especially a lot of times it can become a single lane track where dirty air becomes a big factor, especially with that giant ass spoiler. It can be very, very difficult to pass with that 550 horsepower package. Now, the 550 horsepower package does have some of its own benefits. You look at, of course, you can have really close racing in the beginning of the races. You can have great passing, great restarts. I think that's really one of the biggest benefits of the 550 horsepower package is that you can have some of the greatest passing out there and some of the best restarts out there. You cannot deny that the 550 horsepower package really has the advantage of that. But really are the negatives to me with the 550 horsepower package is with the 550 package, you barely can pass on the long runs, and it becomes a lot of strung out racing, and dirty air becomes a major factor. Now, with the 750 package on the intermediate tracks, you did have these problems, but the difference is that you don't really 100% get to see the talent that shows out on the racetrack. And we saw it this past weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Yes, the beginning of the race and the beginning of the restarts, especially in the stage, were really, really good. But as the run got on, it kind of became a boring race, and we've seen a lot of bad races with the 550 package. Now, I'm not going to deny that there have been some excellent races with the 550 horsepower package. You look at Darlington, two of the Darlington races that happened in 2019 and 2020. I thought those races actually were pretty decent races overall, considering they didn't have the 750 package. They had the 550 package. Look back at Kansas in 2019 in the spring, where the conditions were in the right position, and we saw some really excellent racing right there. You look at some of the other races. Look at Chicago in 2019. Yes, I think the 2018 race is still a little bit better than the 2019 race. But I thought the 2019 race overall was a decent race overall as a whole. And you still got to see some of the best drivers go out there and race and put on a good show, even though the racing wasn't the greatest right there. You also have some good races at Kansas. I think the 2019 fall race at Kansas was pretty solid. And you look at the 2020 Las Vegas race that happened last year, and even looking at the 2021 Las Vegas race that happened earlier this year. For the first 100 laps, the leader was not able to get away. And I know that a lot of people are going to look at optics of that as well, say, oh, well, it's closer racing with the 550 horsepower package, and you get to see really close racing. Close racing does not, however, always mean the greatest racing. And yes, it looks good for optics, but if they're all following each other and they're following single line behind each other throughout the entire run, it is not always going to produce the best racing as a whole for the fans. And if you look at the Jeff Gluck poll, even this past week, the approval rating for the Jeff Gluck poll at Las Vegas Motor Speedway basically was under 25%. I think it was the sixth lowest rated poll he's ever had. I think the lowest poll was the 2016 Brickyard 400, which that I think was running a 750 package, but again, they had the higher spoiler back in 2016 as well. I think he also had a lower spoiler there as well. But that higher spoiler with the 550 package creates that incredibly dirty air where it is very, very difficult to pass. And I will tell you right now that there have been certain races that have turned me off with the 550 package. One of those races was the 2020 Kansas race where Joey Logano legitimately had a way slower car than Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick had probably the best car in that race the whole entire run, but Joey Logano had a car that really should never have been up there to begin with, who got lucky because of strategy, and he was able to hold on to win the race, and it was very, very frustrating to watch, and I was really mad in that race, if you say, and I saw people saying, well, Joey Logano had the best car. If you watch that entire race, Joey Logano did not have the best car in that event. It was Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick had the best car in that event. And had Kevin Harvick been able to get around Joey Logano, we have been in a much different position on that front. Another race, especially this year, that I got really, really frustrated with was the 2021 Michigan race. Now, I will say that the 2021 Michigan race for the 550 horsepower package did look really, really great for our optics. But at the same time, when you have a car that's clearly faster, a guy like William Byron, a guy like Kyle Larson, who both clearly had the two best cars in the race, and they're not able to go out there and pass a driver like Ryan Blaney, who had a pretty solid car in the race, don't get me wrong, but basically we were able to hang on, basically able not to get around him, was really, really frustrating to watch at points. Look at Texas earlier this year, too, where guys couldn't get around each other. It was very, very difficult to pass unless you inverted the field, like at the All-Star race as well. And there's definitely, again, this package does have some of its benefits and does have some of its nature, but it can be very, very frustrating to watch. And I think the morale, especially at some of the tracks. Now let's jump into the 750 package and what I like and what I don't like about the package. And I will say that I have a lot more positive thoughts about the 750 horsepower packages. I will overall get my thoughts on the negatives out of the way here very, very quickly. I think the negatives is at points it can get strung out with the 750 horsepower package, especially at a track like Darlington Raceway and National Racing. Yes, you can get the best drivers out there running, but of course, at the same time, it can get strung out at points. But the difference is between the 750 package when the leaders get strung out and stuff and the 550 package when the leaders get strung, at least with the 750 horsepower package, you do get to see the guys go sideways. You get to see the talent really show, and you get to see really what the drivers can do on the 750 package races. At tracks, like I mentioned, like Bristol, and even the intermediate tracks where we do have the 750 package like Darlington, you get to see the best drivers shine. And like I said, you've seen some races with the 750 package. Look at the Darlington race earlier this year, where Mark Truex Jr. dominated in the 2021 version, where he basically dominated and pretty much led over 300 laps of the event, like 200 or 250 laps of the event, pretty much put on a dominating clinic. But you still got to see talent. The difference is Mark Truex Jr. just had a really dominant car. Had Mark Truex Jr. not just had such a dominant car in that race, and guys like Kyle Larson had gotten up there earlier, we may have had a much different story. You look at the race we came back to at Darlington earlier this year. You come back to Darlington a couple weeks ago. You got to see one of the better races of the year, and you got to see also a very excellent finish. Not to mention Kyle Larson with the 550 package at Darlington earlier this year, he would have not been able to split it 3 wide between 2 lap cars. He would not have been able to do that with the 550 horsepower package because dirty air is such a big effect. And you still do get the dirty air with the 750 horsepower package. Don't get me wrong on that. But at the same time, with the 750 package, you still are able to maneuver around cars, and dirty air isn't as big of an effect, especially with the lower and smaller spoilers on the cars. You don't have as much big effect. I also do think that it, like I said, with the 750 package, you do produce a lot overall better racing, and fans are going to enjoy that more. Look at the Bristol race that just happened this past weekend. That was one, well, about a week or two ago because we had Vegas this week, but about 2 weeks ago, you had the race at Bristol Motor Speedway, and that was such an entertaining and such a fantastic display of racing. Incredible racing throughout the field. You got to see a crazy finish at the end of the race where Kyle Larson caught up to Kevin Harvick and was able to get around him and pass for the lead. I don't think if you had the 550 package, the higher spoiler, even I think Bristol, regardless, you'd probably be able to pass. But I don't think you've been able to do what Kyle Larson was able to do and slide job there. You got to see that in 2018, too, where Kyle Larson was able to catch up with huge runs on the outside at Chicago and was able to pass Kyle Busch, but then he got turned by Kyle Busch. You wouldn't have been able to see that with the 550 package at other types of racetracks. So I just think that, I know that people are big fans of the 550 package. I know NASCAR wants to go in this direction on the intermediate tracks. You look at what they're doing in some of the racetracks overall. They're changing up the tracks to try to make them suitable. And NASCAR is going toward more of this direction on short tracks and road courses. And I think that's because a lot of fans, look at these polls and what fans want, they want more short tracks and overall more road courses out on the circuit. But at the same time, I think that when you have intermediate racing, you have to overall produce as good a racing as a whole. And to me, like I mentioned, I would rather see race 750 horsepower package than the 550 horsepower package. Now, we don't know exactly what the package is going to be for the Cup Series going into 2022. We don't know if it's going to be 750 or 550 next year all around, or if it's going to be 650. There's rumors that it's going to be 650, which is what the Xfinity Series runs. And you look at the NASCAR Xfinity Series, they do have some really excellent racing as a whole. But if you overall want my opinion on what I overall approve a lot more, I would rather have 750 horsepower package at every single racetrack, except the super speedways, because if you go 750 horsepower, you're going to be going really, really fast. But every track except the super speedways, I would run the 750 horsepower package because, one, you get better racing overall as a whole, And 2, you get to see the best talent out there. The issue for me with the 550 horsepower package is the conditions have to be a certain way, and it's really, really good. You have to have cooler temperatures out there for the package to work really, really well. You don't want them too cold. You don't want a situation like Kansas, but you want the package to be really, really good with the 550. With the 750 package, it doesn't really matter the temperature 100%. You can see the best guys go out there and put on really, really good shows overall. And if you look at a majority of the races, especially that are approved, many of them are the 750 horsepower packages. Don't get me wrong. We saw a great race at Homestead where you had the 550 package. And again, that's Homestead Miami Speedway. It doesn't really matter what package you run. You're going to have great racing there. So the package will really affect the racing as a whole. But like I said, if you want my overall opinion and 2 cents on the 750 horsepower package 550, I prefer the 750 horsepower package because overall it produces a lot better racing as a whole, and that is just my honest opinion on those packages. Again, I would rather have 750 horsepower package as many tracks as possible, and I'm hoping that we don't have a lot of them. And we're almost done with the 550 package, 750, because like I said, next year we're going to have a much different package going into next year. But like I said, if you want my honest opinion, I think that the 750 horsepower package for racing in general as a whole is a lot better than the 550 package. Like I said, you're going to get the best racing as a whole. So anyway, that is it for today's NASCAR video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel notifications so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and support page as well. Let's get below for that and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about the 750 horsepower package versus the 550 horsepower package? And what racing do you approve? Do you rather have the 750 horsepower package every single week, or would you rather have the 550 horsepower package on every single race? Let me know in the comments below. You know my thoughts. I'd rather have 750 horsepower package because you get to see the best racers out there. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.